What's up YouTube, it's TCG here and welcome to another TCG deck profile video on my channel. Today on the menu we have ReshiZard. That's right, this is probably, if not the best tag team GX around, except for maybe Mew and Mewtwo tag team GX and Pikarom, but this is definitely one of the contenders for the best tag team GX around. It is going to be one of the more expensive decks because ReshiZard does cost a lot of money, but this is definitely a very great deck. We're going to go straight into this deck profile video with 3 copies of ReshiZard. This is going to be necessary because we're going to be abusing Welder for this card to be able to use Flare Strike as early as possible. We of course have Outrage. If we get damaged, we can retaliate with 30 damage plus the same amount of damage counters on ourselves. So that can turn out to be quite a number of damage, and one hit KO potential is sometimes possible. We have Flare Strike, 230 damage, and that's gonna be enough to almost one-shot anything in the format except for tag teams. We're definitely gonna have to find a way. Most of the times we will two-shot, we will use Outrage, and then afterwards we use Flare Strike. We also have Double Blaze. This is gonna be the main way to one-shot tag team GXs. If we have 3 energies, we dish out 200 damage, but if we have 3 additional fire energies, which means if we have 6 energies in total, we dish out 300 damage and go through any effects. That means we can one-shot Keldeo GX, we can go through things like Alola Ninetales from the team up set. There's a lot of things we can do with this Double Blaze GX, but 300 damage will be the main way to one-shot things with a lot of HP. So 3 copies of that. 1 copy of the Eevee and Snorlax tag team GX, mainly because we don't want to have mainly a water weakness. This is also an additional attacker here. If we're facing evolution based decks, we can dish out 240 with the dump truck press, otherwise we only dish out 120. And also with Cheer Up, it can accelerate energies as well, so this can be our alternate attacker if we don't find ReshiZard, but mainly ReshiZard will be the main attacker. Water type decks will not be around too much, except for maybe those Rogue Keldeo, Quad Keldeo GX decks. It also has Megaton Friends, which can be kind of consistent. If we have 5 energies on our Eevee Snorlax, we can draw cards until we have 10 in the hand, in addition to dishing out 210 damage. So 1 copy of that. Why are we not running the Mew and Mewtwo tag team GX? Well, we're gonna be running the Green's Exploration engine. That means we cannot play any cards with abilities, otherwise our deck becomes a little bit clunky and less consistent. Then, the main way we can accelerate energies, as we've come familiar with the Green's Exploration list, we're going to be running 4 copies of Volcanion. At first people thought this card was mediocre to say the least, but Flare Starter actually did some significant work throughout the tournaments this season. With Flare Striker, if you go second, we can attach 3 energies from the deck to our Pokemon in any way that we like. If we go first, we can use it as well, but we can only attach 1 fire energy. So this will, if we go second, it's not even a problem if you happen to start with Volcanion. If you don't happen to start with Volcanion, you can even use a switch, which is also in the deck, to get this Pokemon in the active position. We don't run Communication because we only run a total of 8 Pokemon, so that is not a lot. That's why we're not running Communication. This is gonna be, we have 4 copies, hopefully we start with it. That is gonna be the main trick here. If we don't, we just use Welder on Charizard and start using Outrage and stuff. It also happens. And if we have 4 energies in play, Heat Blast can even dish out more damage than the base 50. We can dish out 110, which is actually quite nice. Okay. 4 copies of the Volcanion. Moving forward, we're gonna go through the supporters, very streamlined here. 4 copies of Green's Exploration. This is gonna be the main way we can search our trainer cards out. We're gonna be getting an easy access to Gusting thanks to Green's Exploration being able to search out Custom Catcher. We can also heal because we're gonna be running mixed herbs in this list, and we're also gonna have an easy way out of the active position by getting out things like Switch. You can get any trainer card you want because this list does not run any abilities, so getting Green's Exploration is gonna be key if we're not abusing Welder, that is. So we're gonna be putting them over here. Next up, 4 copies of the Welder. Welder is a fantastic supporter, if not the best supporter around, because I don't know if you've noticed, but you have draw support and energy acceleration all into 1 fantastic supporter card. So what we're gonna do here is gonna use Welder to get energies onto our ReshiZard or Eevee and Snorlax and draw 3 cards. ReshiZard is gonna be our main beat stick to one-shot almost anything, or maybe 2 shots, so 4 copies of Welder to accelerate energies to it. If we don't start with Volcanion, we can just use Welder, but the combination of Flare Starter with the Welder is just insane. For the other supporters, we're going to be running 1 copy of Judge and 1 copy of Lieutenant Search Strategy. Judge will be mainly used in the early game to just set the opponent back to 4 cards. Is actually very interesting. We could also use Reset Stamp, but this is mainly used on the early phases of the game, turn 1 or turn 2, where you set the opponent back. Definitely against the setup decks, fantastic. And then Lieutenant Surge strategy, if we're behind in prize cards, let's say Volcanion accelerates so much energy to the bench, and then it finally sees the discard pile, no problem, we're behind in prize cards, we can start using Lieutenant Surge strategy, and then we can afterwards use 2 more supporters. That could be 2 welders at once. Very insane, because we of course have the new stadium card Giant Furnace, we have Fiery Flint, definitely gonna have access to those fire energies in the hand, and with 2 copies of Welder at the same time we can accelerate a Charizard freshly out of nowhere, boom, 4 energies and we're good to go. Not only that, if you use Lieutenant Surge strategy with of course 2 Welders, you also have easy access to that Double Blaze GX move for 300 damage. So 2 copies, actually 1 copy of Judge, 1 copy of Lieutenant Surge strategy. We don't have Acerola anymore, it's too bad, but we're gonna run Mixed Herbs to just comprehend with, of course, the loss of that. Then for the trainer cards, we're gonna be running 4 Pokegear. As mentioned, this is a Greens Exploration build, which means we're gonna have finding easy access to Greens Exploration or Welder. With Pokegear, we can look at the top 7 cards and find the supporter we find there. Hopefully that will be, of course, Green or Welder. Maybe you can also search out a Judge with that, it's gonna be fantastic. Next up, 4 copies of the Cherish Ball. You could also include maybe 1 copy of Communication, that way with Green's Exploration, you can search out Cherish Ball and Communication, but I do think searching out the GXs is gonna be more important here, because we want to use Welder on the first turn or Green's Exploration to just get, of course, stuff going. So Cherish Ball will get our main attacker on board so we can start attaching energies to it. So 4 copies of the Cherish Ball. This card comes out, of course, in the Unifying Minds set. Probably one of the best items or search items around. 4 copies of Mixed Herbs. As mentioned, we don't have Max Potion, we don't have Acerola, but we do have Mixed Herbs. And with a Greens Exploration version, we're definitely gonna enjoy Mixed Herbs. Typically, this card was like mediocre if you only have 1 card in the hand. That way you can just get rid of a special condition from your active Pokemon. But with Blacephalon, of course, using that Bursting Burn, with of course the Raichu and Alolan Raichu Tag Team GX paralyzing us, there's gonna be a hell of a lot more use for Mixed Herb as a one-off. But if you have 2 of the hand, bam, you can heal 90 damage from one of your Pokemon, or actually all condition from your active Pokemon. So yeah, you have to heal your active Pokemon. So that means if your ReshiZard gets a lot of damage and you say, oof, Outrage, we're still not getting a KO, why not heal them up? You can even use 4 copies in total. That means you can heal 180 damage during a game. That is definitely going to be significant to deny prize cards. Next up, another 4-off, very easy. This list runs a lot of 4-offs. For 4 custom catchers, this will make sure that we can gust the opponent's bench Pokemon up. We don't have Guzma anymore, so that is unfortunate, but this is one of the few lists that have, of course, Green's Exploration as its build. That means if you want to one-hit KO something with your Charizard, easy as pie, use Green's Exploration, get 2 custom catchers, bam, you get prize cards. So that's why this card is so good. Also, I do love the secondary effect here. If you just have only 1 copy, you can draw cards until you have 3 in the hand. That means if the opponent uses a reset stamp on you and you happen to top deck this, you're gonna be in an awesome position because you play 1 down, you get cards until you have 3 in the hand. That means you have maybe access to Pokegear or access to Welder, Judge, or even the Welder and Green's Exploration. So you have access to a lot. It's an out against reset stamp as well. Then Fire Crystals, 3 copies of that. We're gonna be running 11 Fire Energies, so we want to recycle them as much as possible. So with Fire Crystal, we can get 3 of them from the discard pile immediately. Easy as pie. Next up, 2 copies of Fiery Flint. You could even debate discarding 1 Fiery Flint and adding in another Giant Furnace, since this list will only run 1 Giant Furnace because we're gonna be relying on other stadium cards, but more on that soon. With Green's Exploration, you can find Fiery Flint. With Fiery Flint, discarding 2 cards from the hand, and then you can get 4 energies from the deck. 4 is a lot. That means if you have, of course, plays like Lieutenant Surge, you can use the Green's Exploration. With Green's Exploration, you can use Fiery Flint. And of course, with that green, you can also grab your Welder. So I do love the addition of 2 Fiery Flint in here. Next up, 2 copies of Switch. These are going to be important to get out of the active position. I know gusting is not that popular with only 2 gusting effects almost in every deck. That means, yeah, you're going to be safe for most gusting, but sometimes you will be stranded in the active position or you want to save yourself and deny the opponent from taking a prize card. Just use switch and get another Pokemon in the active position. Simple as that. It also helps in the early phases to get, of course, your Volcanion in the active slot so you can start use Flare Starter. Yes, then 2 copies of Reset Stamp. This is a fantastic comeback card. If the opponent is ahead in prize cards, you want to just set them back. With this, you smack it down as an item card. That means it's searchable with Green's Exploration, and the opponent has to shuffle their hand into the deck and draw the same amount of cards equal to the number of their prize cards. In the late game, this is OP, so that's why there's 2 copies in here. And you also are going to be running discarding cards like Fiery Flint and stuff. So sometimes one sees the discard early. Doesn't matter too much because, yeah, you have 2 of them. Next up, we're gonna run 1 copy of Acrobike. I was debating adding in another judge to have, of course, enough draw supporters, but after testing, I realized that sometimes Custom Catcher also draws you cards if you get Reset Stamp. So with Acrobike, you have an earlier access, of course, to one of your Pokegears, Greens or Welder. With Acrobike, you can search the 2 top cards and get one to the hand and discard the other one. That is a little bit an extra speed here. I would have loved to add a second Acrobike, but I couldn't find the room for it. But Acrobike, 1 copy will make sure that sometimes you use Acrobike. Oh, there's a Pokegear. With Pokegear, you get, of course, a supporter, and off you're rolling again. Okay, then for the stadium cards, there's a lot of stadium cards in here. We're gonna be running 1 Heat Factory. This is standard in every fire deck, no debate here. You can draw cards if you discard fire energy. 1 Giant Furnace. This is a new stadium card, very OP in my opinion. But the reason we're only running 1 copy is because there's even a better stadium that we want to have in play most of the time. With Giant Furnace, you discard 1 random card from your hand and then you can search your deck for 2 fire energy. So it has the effect of half of a Fiery Flint, but every time it stays in play, you can use it. So 1 copy of the Giant Furnace. Then 1 copy of the Shrine of Punishment. This is gonna be the main way we are gonna be one-shotting Pikarom. We can search it out with Green's Exploration, easy to find. We can early game use Welder and stuff, and if we want to use that Flare Strike attack for 230 damage, then we smack it a little down, bam! We get 240 in total, and we one-shot a Pikarom. So sometimes Pikarom will use Full Blitz. That's fantastic because we are not KO'd, we are just gonna respawn with Flare Strike, bam, out of nowhere, yeah, it's KO'd. Another example is that if in a mirror match the opponent uses Outrage first, we have 30 damage on ourselves. Yeah, that way, actually, let's say it's a little bit different. We use Outrage on the opponent. Then, yeah, we attack again with Flare Strike and Shrine of Punishment that also equals 270, which is the main number. So that's why it's in here for, of course, getting those numbers on the tag teams. It helps in the ReshiZard mirror, it helps against Pikarom mainly, so that's why there's 1 copy of that in here. Use it when the time is right. And then the most important stadium of the bunch. There's a lot of stadium cards in here, so we don't have to worry about the opponent's stadium cards as we can discard them. We have 2 copies of Power Plant. Why is this so fantastic? Everybody has, of course, the intent to just run GX cards, and Dedenne has a GX card with consistency. Mewtwo has the Perfection ability. You can shut all of that down with Power Plant. Keldeo GX has the Holy Heart ability. You can shut it down. You can even go through Keldeo. You can disrupt the opponent when they are not able to use the Dedenne GX, and more importantly, you can also yeah, get rid of all the GX abilities, even like things like Zero Aura for the free retreat, etc. So that's why 2 copies is amazing. Then for the energies, we're gonna be running 11 energies. 11 seems to be, yeah, kind of the number here. You could add it up to like 12 or 13, but I do find with the fire crystals that we have enough energies to go around and last us through the entire game. So that's why I decided to run 11 energies. If you're finding trouble, yeah, definitely let me know. But we have, of course, Fiery Flint, which we can search out with Green's Exploration. We have Giant Furnace. So this is the main list for Green's ReshiZard. Let me know in the comment section what you think about this deck list. And also destroy the like button if you enjoyed the video. That definitely helps me motivate to make more deck profile videos like this, and also subscribe so you don't miss out any future videos. Anyhow, have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out.